Hey, what's going on? I'm Doki the Dingus, aka Wagon Fruit here, and welcome back to Doki the Uncut. At the moment, this is just a video for my boy Lostlotl. Lostle, when you see this right now, DM me and let me know if you would like this to be a public video or just keep it as a private video, which it already is. But in case this is not going to be kept private, this is a replay analysis requested by my boy Lostlotl. And across from him stands Bope, who has one of the scariest teams in this league. You can see it. Oh, it's actually fucking flipped. Whoops. My bad. But yeah, you can see it up there. Pult, Infernape, Clef, Ursaluna, Samu is like a nuts top 5. Round 5 Samu, whatever. So this was looking like a hard matchup. However, the 6 you brought, I really liked the idea here. It looks super interesting. It's always a little bit weird when there's not a Zapdos on the screen, because Zapdos is really applicable to any matchup if you need it, and you often do because it's your Zapdos. But I understand why it's not here 100%. You have a certain game plan here that it looks like. Me having watched the replay already, I already know kind of what happens, so I'm ready to analyze it. But I understand why Zapdos is in here for your game plan. I really like your top 5 with how you're trying to play this game. What I think you could have considered is, I know Salamence was slapped on the back. It looks like it was kind of there to be an Infernape check. Maybe it's even like mixed Hydro Pump for the Ursaluna. Is it? You can let me know. I don't think. Actually, you know what? Salamence isn't so bad. If it is that Mence, like specifically there to check Infernape and Ursaluna with Hydro, just like Intim Roost shit. It's decent for sure. One thing that you could have probably considered is Iron Moth instead, just because with how this game ended up playing out, Glamora wants to get hit because it wants the Toxic Spikes up, right? The whole point is that you try to get those T-Spikes up on something, one of his physical attackers, ideally, because he has Magic Bounce. You do that, and then you want to spin block forever with Palossand, because that shit pre-Terra absolutely destroys Fortress, and Fortress cannot get anything going there. And you want to win the Hazard War with cyclizar as well. So that's like the idea. So if Glamora is taking hits and possibly dying, and this Clefable is like Magic Guard, you could have a problem with it, right? So I think Mence might have been substitutable for Iron Moth. I think in general, Iron Moth might have been something you want to consider for this Clefable, because had certain things not happened, I think you would have had a much harder time. But I think you played this game super well, so let's just get into it, okay? From him, I absolutely understand why Infernape isn't here, because your stuff is like super good against it. Like, you have Terra Water possibilities on the Palossand even. You have Jet Punch along with the entirety of Palafin. It has to bring a coverage move for Moth, possibly, because if you're Booster Moth and you successfully spin away stuff, then it actually can't touch you with like knockoff even that well, and then stabs are resisted. So it's got move slot syndrome, and it's not even that great. So I think that's kind of why, in my opinion, I think Salamence could have even been benched. But it's not necessarily bad at all, especially for Luna. Now that Nape's not there, you can solo have it for Luna if you need it, which is pretty cool. But yeah, you play this game super well. There are probably a few things to touch up on. I'll probably just like figure them out while I watch. But overall, I remember this game, and I was really impressed by what you did. So let's get into it. Lead Samu versus lead Palossand. Okay, so here's the thing. that's like the first thing, I guess, is when you see this team, at least when I build, right, I want to make sure that regardless of what I lead with, like kind of regardless of what I lead with, I'm never in a compromising position immediately. Like at the very least, trying not to give momentum immediately, trying not to, well, unless I'm like activating Palafin, right? Trying not to give momentum immediately. With no punish, trying not to take an insanely meaty hit with no punish, not letting them get hazard up that's like essential with no punish. So I'm not really a fan of the lead Palisand. I get that if you want to start hazard stacking immediately, that might be an idea, but Samurott Hisui is a very common lead, probably the most common on his team. Yeah, like definitely the most common on the 60 broad at least. So I would want your lead to be able to at least trade with Samu. Ideally win versus it, but if you can't do that while also covering for other leads, I would want it to beat Samu. I think Grimstar was a great lead here, covering both Samu and Dragapult. Since like stuff like Ursaluna that you might not want to take a hit from with Grimsnarl, like your entire Mence is now there for it, it seems like, and it's also not going to be Flame Orb procced turn 1, so you're totally fine just switching to Mence turn 1 if you need to. And then Clef isn't that scary because you can just go Glimmy. And then that's like momentum in itself, and you can maybe make a double to Palafin kind of thing. You can make that game plan. But yeah, I don't like the lead Palisand. It doesn't even necessarily do well because you also have to, if you get the lead right somehow versus like Fortress, you still have to guess right between clicking like a hazard and then risking Espeon coming in, or clicking one of your stab moves and then letting Samu in. So yeah, I really like Grimstar lead if that happened, but you ended up having to switch turn 1, and that's not really something you want to give the opportunity to Samu to do. So unfortunately, you lost the lead. But he clicked Taunt. He didn't click what's it, Ceaseless. So you got bailed a tiny bit. I don't really know why he taunted when he could just force you to Terra by clicking his stab move immediately, because like that's the only thing stopping Fori, and then there's like no strain on Espeon, so I don't know why he didn't click Ceaseless. I guess he was scared of exacting Terra Blast, but that's, I mean, maybe, I guess. Sure. But it really would have opened up him just getting hazards on you and like being able to actually like win the hazard war, which is kind of like the whole goal of these mods here, is to win the hazard war, right? So yeah, he should have clicked Ceaseless, so you got a little bit bailed, but I mean, Taunt was reasonable too. No, I don't actually like Taunt. Like, even if, like, the only thing you're scared of there is Terra Blast, right? So why did he Taunt? I don't know. It's whatever. He was like scared of rocks and that move for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. And he reveals Flip Turn and Spirit Break, and you reveal the helmet here. This is totally fine. Playing it safe very early is like super reasonable. If you have a screen, I guess you could have clicked it, but you can't click a Prankster move on him because he's Dark type, and Flip Turn would have prevented that too. So this is fine. Even though you like lost health, it's okay to reveal stuff. He's Taunt Flip Turn, which also at this point means his last two moves are definitely Ceaseless and then like another stab move, whether it just be a main water stab move, which is going to come into practice later, and it's something that you might have noticed during the game, so it's probably something good that you did, but we'll see. Hard Palisand, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you don't have your Moth, so you can't really offensively pressure some other way. So it's like totally fine to do that. I mean, you could have gone Mence, I guess, if you're special Mence, but if you're not, that doesn't make any sense anyway. So Sand Tomb is cool. I think, yeah, this was another thing, like having Shadow Ball in the end game versus Pult might have been more helpful for you. I understand why Sand Tomb is there, but the big thing with trapping mons and why they're kind of hard to bring in Draft League is you want to have a winning matchup versus it while also not forcing it out. And that's not really the case with Fortress. Like, it can't touch you. It's never going to stay in, really. So it was a cool idea because pre-Terra you could absolutely destroy it if he just makes a wrong move. But in reality, he doesn't really have a reason to stay in ever. I'm honestly kind of surprised he went Espeon. He probably should have gone one of Samurott or Luna, assuming he's like Flame Orb and he can activate that turn. But generally, like, Sand Tomb isn't really going to net you much there. The idea was cool though. I just think you probably would have just had an easier time being more basic. And then you switch on Shadow Ball, which is a pretty cool predict. Every turn's kind of like essential for you because even though you're trying to win the Hazard War, your backbone isn't crazy. And I mean, like, the only way he stays in is if he's clicking Shadow Ball, right? So this was great. You got the call right. Like, he might have even tried to double into maybe Samu, and if you were okay with having Cyclizar in on that, that was good. I like that. That was nice. And then on Luna, you U-turn here, which is fantastic. You don't want to be too stupid and like accidentally stay in on him clicking Fairy Move, which I'm a little bit surprised he didn't do, just because you literally brought this in on it. But maybe that means that it's a choiced Espeon. Honestly, that's what I would get from that situation, is that this is choiced Espeon. So that U-turn was super cool. Yeah, U-turn was great because that means that you activate your Palafin super early, and you didn't even have to lead it. I mean, you didn't get anything off your lead, unfortunately. So it's basically as if you led it with that free activation, which is nice. Here, you've already seen that this Fortress is Helmet, and I get that you want to chip it down. But he doesn't, with a max HP Mence and he's not burned, he doesn't really have a reason to stay in with Luna there. So if you're like worried about him clicking a button, even if he does, he can't really click Ice Punch versus even pre-activated Palafin. Yeah, because like that could just go horribly wrong. You could be banded, right? So he can't really stay in there. So you can just instantly flip turn here. Because even if he does stay in, like, you have the Mence, right? I'm just doing that with the assumption that that's what this is for, because I think it's what it should be for at this point. So you can just flip turn here, but instead you wave crash. So you gave up a bit of momentum. But that happens. Flip turn faster, which is cool. And then you switch on this on Ceaseless, which is great. Yeah, you don't want to like keep getting, like, if you keep doing this thing where you keep switching into moves after losing momentum, like, even if you went Grimstar there, that would have been worse than taking all this, because now you have a hazard up and you can actually pressure and make him not want to click those buttons sometimes, which is very nice. You got your hazard up and you have your spin blocker still there, so it's never gonna really go away. So that looks really great versus this team. Q. Oh shoot, what happened here? Sorry, I got distracted. And then, oh yeah, you doubled out into Psych on possible water move. Yeah, that makes sense. And he went Cyclizar. Or he went Fortress. Okay. In this position, you went for a knockoff, which is very cool. So this is where you're kind of like okay with not having Moth anymore, because the T spikes are up, and he revealed that he was Boots, so he's unaware for your Mence, which is like reasonable, but also, God, your hazard game is like one of the best parts about your team. So not being Magic Guard is a little bit insane. Also, he has like a whole Fortress and a Fairy Espeon that is possibly even Scarfed at this point. So like, I don't know why he's this, and I think you would have had a harder time if he was Magic Guard. But that knock was super crucial. I like going for it anyway. He could have been body press, I guess, but you've switched into Palisand the last 2 times, so it's not really likely that he's going to like that. Knocking off and getting rid of the helmet on like another spike, I guess. No, he was spikes on this. On like a volt. I don't even know what he would click. So I guess he just called the switch out, which is good. But that knock on either this or the fortress was good anyway, so I like that play for sure. U-turns back into Glimmy. Yeah, there's no real other play. Glimmy isn't that important right now, and it lives in Moonblast, which is good. Hard Espeon is fucking ridiculous. You expected Fortress, and you didn't want to give him a spin for free, or like momentum for free. So I understand why you Earth Powered. I think him going Espeon is totally batshit. If I'm honest. If he's AV Luna, don't know why that didn't come out, right? Like, I guess he didn't get super punished for it, but I don't know why Espeon came out. Yeah, I have no idea. Like, if you don't want your Fortress getting chipped, which honestly, like, makes a shit ton of sense, not wanting this chipped, because it's good for being able to chip the Palafin. Like, I don't know why Luna didn't come out, to be honest. That seemed really weird to me. Because, like, I don't know. Is this not the set I'm thinking of? Surely you can just go Luna there. I don't know. But yeah, you're Earth Powered, which makes a lot of sense, because you don't want Fortress coming in and forcing you out when you're already dead to hazards. That would kind of feel like shit. So I like the Earth Power. I don't know why he didn't go Luna. It would have been good for him regardless. But yep, you get the Earth Power, and honestly, this is still a great chip on Espeon. Yep, and then here you go, Psych, and the perfectly timed Rapid Spin. I really like how you're positioning this Psych. I've had a problem in the past where I can't use cyclizar correctly because this thing is so awkward, but you're using it like insanely well. You're timing your clicks super nicely. I mean, this was great. I don't. He's Draining Kiss. Is this Specs Draining Kiss? I don't really know what your opponent's doing. It was. I don't know. Yeah. So there's the Rapid Spin. I'm wondering what your last move is, because I know in this situation you don't click Draco Meteor. Let me just reveal this. He's Lumberry. He's not Haban. And if you're invested at all, if you're invested enough, I guess, Draco Meteor does kill this. I guess if you're really worried about him having enough bulk to live a Draco, and you don't want to lose the Hazard Ward versus Fortress, I get it. But I feel like, because he revealed Lum, I feel like you can just Draco this, but I don't really know why he did this in general. Like, I don't know why this came out. I mean, surely your Draco last move, or like some kind of Dragon move last move. I guess if your Dragon move isn't strong enough, then you shouldn't go for it. So if that's the case, then this is fine. Switching out here. But like Draco can just straight up kill this. And you got the speed boost. And he revealed Lum. He's not like Scarf or anything. So there's that. But I guess no real reason to play it super unsafe. And in this position, you go for the U-turn, and you go to Grimmsnarl, and he actually goes for a double edge. I don't really know what's going on. if I'm honest, I don't know what is going on with your opponent's priorities here. Because, like, you have the speed boost, and you're a stab dragon type. Like, you could definitely go for this Draco here. I don't know why he clicked double edge. He just kind of made sure that if you had gone for that risky play, you would have been rewarded no matter what, which is absurd to me. Or maybe he... Oh, this was probably Scarf Draining Kiss, and you're probably Scarf Cyclizar, right? Wait, no. Wait, you Rapid Spun, and then you... Okay. Ignore me. But, like, also, I don't know what your opponent's doing. It's whatever. You probably didn't have the right Dragon move, and that's, like, totally fine. For your play, I don't know why he double-edged, but he got a little bit rewarded for it. So it's whatever. But yeah, now you force it out. because he can't. His lumbar is eaten. He can't really click a button in case of either Sucker or Thunderwave here. So this is still a fine situation. And I'm pretty sure you Parting Shot, which is great. Parting Shot's fantastic. Palisand comes out. So, like, I'm guessing at this point that you're not Special Months, which I'm a little bit upset about. I don't think, like, I guess you're like a late game DD, but that doesn't really, I don't think that was that great versus Clef plus Fortress plus, I don't know, priority from Samu even. But like I get, like, these plays have been making sense, assuming certain things. I really wish you were a Special Mens here. I think it was a little bit better. But yeah, Samu comes in, gets poisoned, and you're slowly chipping it now. You're gonna start winning the Hazard War way faster because Espeon isn't there anymore to Magic Bounce it. Take the Ceaseless with this guy, which makes a lot of sense. You really just need to chip this, so taking damage yourself isn't like the worst thing in the world on Palafin. Assuming, like considering what set you are, you're just full physical, I'm guessing. It doesn't look like banded, but yeah. So this is like totally fine. You're chipping the Fortress, which is super essential. Thank God it's not leftovers, because that would have made it a little bit annoying. But Helmet's also annoying in its own right. Always hard Palisand versus this, which is good. And then you hard out Cyclizar. This is like the game-winning play, and I'm so happy you did this. This was great. Hard Cyclizar here, hard boots Cyclizar here, is incredible. This is great because like you keep going Palisand on the Fortress, and last time you clicked a button, so it's like he really can't stand with Fori there, and try to punish a spin in a certain way. So this is so good. You're keeping momentum, you're chipping the Sam, and you're getting your spin off with that play. That is so good, and I'm really happy you did that. That's great. That honestly was like game stealing, because that got you the spin for free. Like, because of the set he is, it is so incredibly unlikely that he fits Sacred Sword on this that you can just go for the spin, and then like after that, what does he even have in the tank? He has no hazards on the field. Like, the Fortress, if it stays in like any one singular turn more, it's gonna be dead, and then you just do this again, and then you win. Right? Like, this is great. This is a great switch. So yeah, now you have the freest spin of your life. You don't die to anything, and you can regen up later. I think he goes for knockoff, revealing his last move. And now you've gotten the spin off, and you still have momentum, which is insane. Cyclizar really put in work here. You get the U-turn, which was the best play, of course. And Palisand comes back out, and you threaten a kill, and he doesn't switch out. And it's over. You've won the hazard game entirely. This thing's back, and it doesn't even matter, because now that the spinner's gone, you can actually Terra Grass your Palisand. I love that you were saving that. You did that super well. Super well. And he wishes. And I mean, this is just the freest endgame of all time. You've really opened up the way for your Palisand, which, I mean, this is Palisand. Like, obviously, if you were Sandtomb, or if you were Shadow Ball instead of Sandtomb, would have been a little easier. But like, the idea behind this Palisand in this matchup was super broken. Assuming Clef was like in range or dead, and you ended up getting that knockoff. And the toxic off, the poison off on it. So that's like why, if this was Magic Guard, like, you would have had a way harder time, because this thing can wall you for a bit. It also ignores the Sand Tomb chip. But, yes, that would have been harder, but I still think you had like a good position. It would have been really hard, actually, like, not having Moth, because Mens can't break through it unless the idea behind the Mens is to break through it and you have some tech. The Palafin's too low to take a Moonblast. Everything's too low to take a Moonblast. But in this position in particular, you've done great, and Palossand just absolutely destroys these last three. Absolutely destroys it. If it had Shadow Ball, it could just kill the pull from here. So that would have been like GG. Like you would have just got like a 5-0 basically. Like I don't know what he would have done. But yeah, this was great. So let's just play out this endgame. D-Darts is doing jack shit because you're Fizdef. You're Fizdef grass for the Samu, I'm guessing. Or maybe this is like mixed def, which it kind of looks like it is, which makes sense because this thing's like carrying your whole matchup. Take some chip. That's okay because you're faster than the Luna. Wait, are you? No, you're not. But you can still take one. Double edge. Oh yeah, I remember how this game ends. You would have just went with Palafin, right? Yep. He has no priority. It doesn't matter because Jet Punch just kills anyway. And the Luna just died to a wave crash. And you win 3-0. This is great. Like overall, this was great. I think like the only improvements that you can make are like basically mostly in the build. There were some early stuff with like giving up momentum, but that's early and you don't want to overplay versus an opponent you don't know what they're gonna do really, like what their game plan is really. But there were certain plays that you kind of had some given momentum and you didn't take it. So I guess you could touch up on that. You can focus on trying to maximize your advantage state a little more. But like overall, you're really good at delegating your mons correctly. Like maybe a little bit not as much in the builder, but in the games, you're really good at delegating. I really like when you time your Terras, which is something that newer players don't usually get right, which is pretty cool. But like, yeah, I think Palafin is like actually a really good play style for you. I think you kind of drafted to your strengths, which is pretty great. So yeah, most of the stuff that you could probably improve on are in the builder. Just like kind of think about if certain sets would work. Like tech is always fun to bring, right? But like kind of think about the game dynamic and see if it actually would function correctly before you bring something like Sand Tomb on Palafin. And then think about the role of your Ments, because it looks like this Ments was there for its defensive typing for Luna and possible Infernate, but it didn't really have the tools to check them properly because it was just like, it was probably DD, and that doesn't really work against Fori Clefable as a check to these guys. Like there's probably endgames where that can work, even with them on the field, but it's not going to do that while also checking the mons it's meant to check. So I would probably just take a little bit more time in the builder to make sure your sets function. But in the games, like everyone's going to get some turns wrong. Like you're playing totally fine. Absolutely, and way above what I thought your skill level was. So this is pretty cool. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of that. And I'll see you in the next one. If this goes public, then I'll see all y'all in the next one. Peace.